Hey, what's going on everyone? Greg here, and Apple surprised us all a little bit this week by announcing AirPods Pro, and they did this in an unconventional way. They didn't have any sort of event to announce these. They just released a press release basically saying, here are AirPods Pro. They have a brand new in-ear design. They have some new features like a noise cancellation mode, and they cost $250. And guess what? You can order them today, and they're shipping on Wednesday. And hey, it's Wednesday, and look what I have here, a brand new pair of AirPods Pro. I'm really excited to try these out, see how the sounds improve, see how good the noise cancellation and how that transparency mode works. So without further ado, let's go ahead and unbox these, and then I will give my first impressions. Okay, and here we have the box for the AirPods Pro. As you can see on the front of the box, we have the right AirPod Pro and then the left AirPod Pro. Flip it over on the side, of course, you get the Apple logos, and on the back of it, you can see a glimpse of the charging case with both AirPods Pro in there. But I'm excited, so let's go ahead and open this thing right up. Apple makes it super easy with that pull tab. Get that plastic peeling sound, and let's lift the box up. You can see we have designed by Apple in California. And of course we have our little AirPods Pro tutorial guide on how to set them up, but thankfully Apple makes it pretty simple once you open the case, so we really don't need to go through, it's a lot of documentation for AirPods, honestly. Okay, and here we have it, moment of truth, the AirPods Pro, all nice in their case. But let's look at the bottom of the box first before we take a look at the more interesting part, because we have, of course, a USB-C to Lightning cable. So if you're using an older style of MacBook, unfortunately, you're going to have to use an adapter, I guess, to plug these in. Or if you have a charging brick that isn't USB-C, I guess you would probably have to buy an adapter. But if anyone who has like an iPhone Pro, you can use the same charging brick for that. And then, of course, on the bottom, we're going to have our little replacement tips in here. So there are 3 different replacement tips. I'm guessing the other ones are already on the AirPods Pro, but there is a smaller size and then a larger size with these other replacements. If you ever lost any of these replacement tips, Apple will sell them online for $4 for a replacement. Okay, and here we have it, the AirPods Pro. Let's go ahead and rip off the plastic. Ooh, the case feels nice. Feels a little heftier than the regular AirPods case. As you can see, we have both AirPods Pro in the case, and as I actually pick it up, it feels very different from the regular AirPods. It's kind of weird. I was expecting them to feel more similar, but yeah, they have a very different feeling to them, and they kind of go in the case a little bit differently. You can kind of see both of them right here. Here is a closer look at one of the AirPods. So you can see that on AirPods Pro, we have the silicone tip right here. That's going to be different from regular AirPods that don't have those. And you can see that the stem on them is actually a little bit shorter as well. And you can see this little indentation here is apparently going to be for squeeze gestures. Now in the older pair of AirPods, you had to double tap if you wanted to do anything like skipping a song or accessing Siri. So with these AirPods Pro, you would be able to do that with a squeeze gesture. Now by default, this is going to be able to toggle between the noise cancellation and then the transparency mode. So as you can see, the case is a little bit bigger than the current AirPods case. Now, it's actually shorter if you're standing it upright, but if you kind of flip it over on its side, you kind of get a more realistic look at the size difference between the AirPods Pro case and then the regular AirPods case. So the AirPods Pro case is slightly bigger, and so far, I haven't really found it to be a detriment. I actually sticked it in my pants pocket, and it fits just fine. Okay, now let's bring over the iPhone and see if we still have the same simple pairing process as regular AirPods. Let's go ahead and open up the case. And there you can see the animation appears. You can see that we have the AirPods Pro and it's rotating, waiting for us to connect. We can hit connect. As you can see, we're getting a little guided tour of AirPods Pro, including how to use the media controls, how to use noise cancellation, and then of course how to access that also in Control Center. Now let's actually take a look at the settings in AirPods Pro because there's a few settings over here. So as you can see, we have the noise cancellation feature off and then transparency, so you can toggle between that. You also have an ear tip fit test. This is going to help you determine which size earbuds that came in the box that you might want to use with your AirPods Pro. Let's do that right now. Okay, and to do that sound test, all you have to do is just take your AirPods, put them in your ear, and then you just press that button to enable that test. It'll play a short little song, and then it'll tell you if the AirPods have a good seal or not for noise cancellation. So even though these tips seem to fit me well, let's go ahead and just take one off just to see what the experience of that is like. So to remove an ear tip, all we have to do is just pull firmly, it says. To put it on, you should just push it in and it should click into place. And there you go, very satisfying click, and it's on. You can also see that you can customize controls for either the left or right on the AirPod Pro. So if you go into the left setting, you can either do it for noise cancellation and transparency, which is the current setup, or you can change that to access Siri. And that would be the same on the right AirPod Pro. So ideally, if you could remember which AirPod Pro has which setting, you could have one to toggle Siri and then one to toggle the noise cancellation and the transparency. Okay, so I finished unboxing the AirPods and setting them up, and I've been using them for a little while now, so I wanted to come back and give you some of my initial impressions of AirPods Pro. So first off, right out of the bat, I don't think this bigger case is that much of a bother. Fits pretty well in my pocket, just like the regular standard AirPods case does. Putting the AirPods Pro into your ear takes just like a little bit longer because of those silicone tips. You want to make sure you place them right, and the same when pulling them out. It's just like a little extra half second to do it. Not a huge deal, but I'd say putting on regular AirPods and taking them off is an easier process. Okay, and I've been testing out a few songs with AirPods Pro, and my first impressions are pretty strong. So right off the bat, I can say that AirPods Pro definitely have a better sound than the regular AirPods. Now, this can be to a few different things. Number one, they are an in-ear design, so they go farther into your ear, and they kind of seal off your ear a little more than the standard AirPods. Even without noise cancellation, because they are an in-ear design, that means they block off your ears more and there is less sound leakage. I can also say that the noise cancellation on these little earbuds inside of my ear are pretty impressive. So I put the TV on, I put my AirPods Pro on, and then I listened to a song first without any sort of noise cancellation, and then I enabled noise cancellation, and even at lower volumes on the AirPods Pro, I couldn't hear the TV at all. All I could hear was my music, and it worked really, really well. And if I did want to hear that TV or someone speaking to me, if I did have the AirPods Pro on, I could also enable that transparency mode. Now, if you had noise cancellation already enabled, to enable that very quickly, all you would have to do is squeeze on these AirPods and hold them down for a second. You'll hear a sound, and then that will switch either between the noise cancellation mode or the transparency mode. With the transparency mode enabled in my test, then again, I could hear outside sounds like the TV because it is using the microphones to feed that audio back into my ear. In fact, you can hear external sounds even better with the transparency mode enabled than if you were to just turn off noise cancellation completely. And that's because, again, this is an in-ear design, so even with noise cancellation off, this little silicone tip is creating a seal inside of your ear, which is blocking out external sound. In fact, I have the transparency mode enabled right now, and I can hear myself talking clearly to the camera. Now, there are other controls on here. On the old AirPods, you would do a double tap to either skip a track, or maybe if you wanted to do a triple tap, that would skip back a track. Well, with the AirPods Pro, that isn't the case anymore. Now you do a squeeze gesture. So again, on the bottom here, you would just do a squeeze. You hear an audible click every time you do a squeeze. So say if you wanted to play and pause, just do one little squeeze, you'll hear the click, and then it will either play or pause. If you wanted to skip a track, do it twice. So double squeeze, it skips the track. If you wanted to go back a track, triple squeeze. So 1, 2, 3, and then it goes back the track. These gestures definitely have a slight learning curve. At first, I wasn't sure how hard I should be squeezing them or for how long I should be squeezing them. But once I figured it out, it's actually pretty simple. And I think I prefer this method of squeezing the bottom tip rather than just double tapping like you would on the old AirPods. Of course, these still have the H1 chips. They still have Hey S word support, so you could use Siri to either raise or lower the volume or skip tracks or do any other things that Siri can do. So one of the things I wanted to mention is that when AirPods Pro were announced, their design was initially mocked. However, after seeing them in person, I think they look better than the regular standard AirPods, especially when they're in your ear. So right here, you can see on the right, I have the AirPods Pro in my ear, but then if we turn to the left, I have the regular AirPods. Regular AirPods stick out more than the AirPods Pro, so honestly, I think it looks better when you're wearing them. So one other thing I wanted to talk about with AirPods Pro was how comfortable they were when wearing them. Now, obviously, I haven't been wearing them all day. I'm still going to have to test that out further, so you can wait more for the full review. But initial impressions of just wearing them, I gotta say that Apple said they did some work on relieving inner ear pressure when wearing an in-ear style earbud, and I think these might be the most comfortable in-ear earbuds that I have personally ever worn. If you watch my review of the Powerbeats Pro, which are also an in-ear design, I mentioned that when I wore those for a long period of time, I definitely felt some discomfort in my ears. Right now, when wearing the AirPods Pro, I'm not feeling that, but again, I do want to wear them for a longer period of time to make sure that is the case. Okay, so first impressions of AirPods Pro. I gotta say that so far I am really impressed with how the AirPods Pro sound, how good the noise cancellation is on just these tiny little earbuds inside of your ear, and I'm also liking the new gesture system and the transparency mode. One of the things about the transparency mode that I was worried about is that the sound quality when using that mode would be really degraded, and in my short experience with using AirPods Pro, I found that that wasn't necessarily true. It kind of just sounded like regular, normal AirPods, and although I could still hear my outside environment, the sound still sounded good. So if I was to go outside for a run, or if I did want to hear certain things around me in a work environment, I could wear the AirPods Pro with that in-ear design, enable that transparency mode, and not lose too much of the sound quality, and still get a pretty good experience overall, while still obviously being able to hear things. So even though my first impressions with these are really strong, I still want to do some more testing. I still need to test out Apple's battery life claims. They're claiming that it should get the same 5 hours of battery life as the normal AirPods, and then if you enable noise cancellation, you should get 4.5 hours. And I also want to make sure that I definitely wear these in the rain and maybe do a few workouts with them to see how the sweat and water resistance holds up. And I just also need to use them for a longer period of time to see if they justify the $250 price tag on the AirPods Pro and see if they really are that much of a better experience than regular AirPods. But I think it's safe to say that if you are a current AirPods user, and one of the things you always wanted with AirPods was better sound and noise cancellation, then these seem like a no-brainer upgrade so far. They sound good, and the noise cancellation worked surprisingly well for just how small these earbuds are. All right, everyone, and that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully it helped you out. If it did, make sure you give me a like. If you want to see more from my channel, including the full review of AirPods Pro, make sure you're subscribed. As always, if you want to support the channel out in any way, make sure you check out some of the links in the description. I'll leave an affiliate link to buy AirPods Pro. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.